Let's keep an eye on the Pirates. Obviously, they're getting ready to start their season down in Bradenton. He's always a good guy. Our pal is Derek Shelton, their manager, who says hello. Skip, always a pleasure. Great to have you on here today. This is a team that not many people know about right now, so I'm going to need you to fill us in. First off, give me a little rundown. Spring training here, Bradenton. You've been happy on these first 3 or 4 weeks. Let me hear there first.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me on. Second, yeah, we've had a good camp so far. We're definitely working on a ton of things. You know, we're in a situation where we're trying to create a really strong foundation, and it's been a good camp. We've gotten better. We're seeing signs of really good things. So excited. I think we're excited that spring training has gone well, but we're ready to get to Chicago and get the season started.
Derek, are you working on winning ball games? Young teams win games. Sometimes that carries over a little bit, builds a winning culture, or are you just working on sort of player development, making players see on a day in, day out basis they're getting better? What's the deal here as far as Bradenton goes?
Right. Well, in Bradenton, I mean, definitely we're developing, but we want to win as many games as possible, and we're doing that. We played a 1-run game yesterday, had a 1-0 game yesterday, had a lot of good pitching, some good defensive plays, hit a solo homer to win the game. So, winning these games is important because it does help create that culture. But the biggest part of it in spring training is to developing, getting better every day, making sure our guys get our work in. And then obviously most important, getting healthy for, the first day of the season.
You know how it works? I think some teams use this as motivation too. I did Texas yesterday, so I think that Woodward's going to use it that way. Everybody's going to write the Pirates off. Bad team. Over/under number in Vegas is 62.5. I don't got to go through the numbers for you. Now, you got a young team. Is that a motivating tool that you can use, or you're not so much worried about that with a bunch of kids? Let me thoughts there. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, we're not worried about it. I don't really pay attention to what outside people think. I worry about what we think in our clubhouse and how we're going to go about it on a daily basis. And that's been the message to our group from the first day of spring training. We'll worry about what we can control. We'll worry about what we're doing, and what everybody else says, really doesn't matter to us. We're going to go out and play the games. We're going to play to win, and, we're looking forward to a fun season.
Organizationally, Derek, is the team a little further ahead with pitchers or a little further ahead with position players?
I think we're, in a mix right now. We're building. We have acquired a bunch of players. We acquired some pitchers this offseason in trades that have really stood out. I mean, we saw Contreras yesterday. We saw Yahoo yesterday. Guys that we acquired in trades. Bednar, a kid that we acquired in a trade this offseason. Will Crow. So I would say probably a mix, but maybe a little bit farther along on the pitching side with the stuff that our baseball ops group did this year. And it's been really fun to see those kids in camp.
All right, how good is Charlie Hayes' kid at third base? I know last year, a big year. Everybody seems to love him. You see him day to day. Give me a little rundown. What's fair to expect out of him in his first full season?
It's expect him to be really good. The kid is extremely talented. He came to the big leagues last year and really kind of took off. I think the biggest thing about him is his demeanor and the fact that he stays under control. I mean, this is a kid that got 7 hits on 7 straight pitches last year, not in 7 straight at bats, 7 straight pitches, and not one ball was to the pull side because he stayed under control. We realize he's still a young kid. Our expectation, or the things we're asking him to do, is just go out and catch the ball and have consistent at bats. He's done that all spring. He comes with a smile on his face. I think he's going to be a guy that people in the game are really going to enjoy watching play.
There you go. All right. How about Polanco? We've heard enough about him for a long time. He's been battling injury. Of course, we know. We thought he was going to be, I don't want to say the next Roberto Clemente, but you get the idea. 3 or 4 years ago. Hasn't quite found his deal yet in the sport and the big league level. Thoughts on him? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, number one, he's healthy. I appreciate you pointing that out. He has battled through some injuries. He is healthy. He's in a good spot this spring. He's made some mechanical adjustments with his swing, looks better, is able to be a little bit freer, is moving around well in the outfield. So looking forward to him having a full season of good health.
All right, that's important. So we'll keep an eye on that from that standpoint. Good to hear that. All right, how about the Brian Reynoldses, people like that, bounce back years? There's a couple of guys here that could go either way, Derek, as far as your ball club is concerned. Really, really good big league players, or they fall by the wayside. You got a couple of them. Thoughts there as far as the success of the season goes?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, you touched on Reynolds, who had a really good rookie year. You know, Newman's another guy that's in that category that had a really good rookie year, and both of them, you know, struggled a little bit last year. I think one of the things that happened to those two guys and a lot of hitters throughout the league is, you know, got off to slow starts in a 60-game season, tried to do too much. Both of those guys look really good in the spring. Have had really consistent at bats, are moving well. I mean, Newman's hit like a breakneck pace. I think he's hit about 700 right now, which is unheard of. But not even just getting the hits, just the consistency of the at bats, and really looking forward to them getting back, you know, to previous form.
How do you handle it here once the season starts? You know, sixth inning tight game. Are you trying to win that game, or are you looking at it from a standpoint, you know, to see how a young player handles himself in a tight spot, say a pitcher? Maybe a hitter there where you could pinch hit for in the late innings, but you decide, you know what, he's a lefty here. Let's see how he handles himself against a lefty tough reliever. How does Derek Shelton handle that? That's a tough call for a manager in your shoes right now. You want to win ball games, but you want to give players a chance to, you know, go a little above and beyond. So that's a fine line you got to walk. Let me hear your thoughts on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think your last point of that is the most important, is you give players a fine line to walk, and development is important in those situations for us to win games. And, you know, we are entering every game to win it. We're going to try to win games. We're going to focus on that. There will be some development aspects to that, but part of winning sometimes comes with that development. And I think that is a fine line, and we'll choose the situations that we feel that's best for our players and for the club.
All right, rules. Do you like the three-batter minimum? I know you're a young manager, you're just getting your feet wet, but do you like the three-batter minimum? If we get into some seven-inning doubleheaders and the 10th inning man on second, are you for or against some of these? Let me hear.
Yeah, I like the seventh inning doubleheader a lot. I'm really a big fan of that. I think with the 10th inning thing, I do feel that we should have some sort of variation of the 10th inning. I personally wish that we would play, you know, an inning of straight baseball first, but I really don't have a problem with that, because I understand the portion of it. And when you're trying to deal with the pitching staff and dealing with pitchers, those two I am a big fan of. The three-batter minimum, I think I'm a little bit less on that side of it. You know, I'm not a biggest fan of that as I am the other two.
All right, what have you learned the most here, Derek? As you know, dealing with the media day to day, staying positive, you know, making sure the guy from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette's got a good story. You're concerned by that, the fan scenario. There's a lot of roles a manager's got to fill here in 2021. You're a young guy just getting started, but you got a lot of experience. But this is your first job. What's the one thing you've learned the most here in these couple years with the Pirates?
I think to listen. You know, managing within the protocols that we're doing, it's listening, adapting, adjusting, and then making sure that we communicate with our players and they know where we stand and what we're doing. And, you know, last year was a big year for us. We developed a whole new culture in Pittsburgh, and I think, you know, our staff did a really good job of that. And now this year is starting to build the foundation of what we're going to do in Pittsburgh, and I'm really excited about it. But being able to listen and learn, I think, is probably the most important thing that you know, I've learned in the first year managing.
I mean, you talk to the GM every day, right? I mean, you give him he has a feel of what's going on. I mean, you got to communicate with the front office, Derek. How about that on a day in, day out basis? Go ahead.
Yeah, really good relationship with Ben. Spent a ton of time with him. Very open flow of conversation. You know, one of the things that came out of 2020 that was really positive in terms of the quarantine was being able to sit in on a lot of baseball ops calls and have conversations with Ben and kind of learn that side of it, so we could have an easier flow of conversation. And Ben and I are aligned on everything, and you know, really fortunate that we have as much interaction as we do.
Are you a big sports fan, Derek? I mean, you know, they had a big golf tournament in Bradenton. I mean, the NCAA tournament's going on right now. Masters in a couple of weeks. Brady beating Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Are you focused on baseball, or are you a big sports fan with all the sports?
No, I'm focused on baseball. I do follow other sports, probably not as closely as I have in the past. I mean, I live in the Tampa Bay area, so it was a big deal for, you know, this year with the Bucs winning the Super Bowl, and you know, my oldest is 20 and is a huge Bucs fan, so that, you know, that was big in our household. But right now, I'm getting ready to get focused on baseball.
Looking forward to it, Derek. You do a tremendous job. We'll get to you. We'll check in. Answer the phone when we call. Thanks very much here today. Get off to a good start.
Sounds
Appreciate
good.
you coming on.
Thanks, Chris.